friends get together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus, and that headphones beautifully looking boy is Nick. How you doing?
Marcus, you said you were going to stop doing that before you introduced me.
Yeah, I tried again.
Oh, okay. You're bringing back. Guys, this is Now Try This. We try stuff. What does that mean? Well, I'm Nick. He's Marcus, and we're best friends. Best friends from way back. And every week, we challenge each other to try, watch, do one of our favorite things, something new, something old, something borrowed, something blue, so the other person has to experience it. You know that feeling when you find your new favorite thing and you have no one to share it with? Well, we solve that problem by making our best friend significant other be in a podcast with us.
Yeah. Wait, for significant other, what was that about?
You're my
when did I get a promotion?
Friend, significant other. You're the significant other best friend.
Significant,
There's a significant other lover. There's a significant other best friend.
I didn't know
that. There's a significant other work relationship. You know, like a work wife. People say that.
Oh,
right?
Yeah, people do say that.
Yeah, I feel like that's like
TikTok
a hop and a skip
wife.
away about cheating.
So okay,
like a work.
So the work wife thing is probably problematic for a lot of people, but it's also meaningless. I feel.
Marcus, if Daron came home today and say, "Oh my God, my work cousin was riding me all day long," what would you say?
Well, then that would be a weird work husband. I think that there is an amount of like weirdness to it for sure. But I think it's also how the person is receiving it, right? Like, well, I think also, the general concept of people having work husbands and work wives isn't necessarily inherently bad. But what I think is that if your partner is super into it, then it's weird.
Oh, that's fair. Fully Cooley said it better. He said significantly best other friend.
Yes, that is exactly.
That's good.
That's exactly what you meant.
Well, I don't know. I feel like after watching Severance, I have a different opinion on this because because Severance is a satire metaphor on how we disassociate ourselves to get through our work life, and some people, they see their work husband or work wife more than they see their actual work wife or husband. If they work too much,
that's true. That's
long
very true.
Hours after everyone else has gone home. I'm not.
Yeah.
Listen, you responded like a normal human being. You responded like a respectful person.
I have more opinions on this for sure. I can go on for.
Oh, you can, and we will.
100%.
But I wanted you to know my initial reaction. If you asked me if Lexi came home and said, "Oh man, my work husband was all over me today," I would respond, "What's that bitch's name? Tell me right now." Tell me right now, because I'm going to find him and I'm going to set him straight. I'm going to set him straight.
Okay.
And I'm going to let him know that he's coming up and his days are numbered. I would find a way to get him fired.
Here's my sort of like personal experience with it, because I think that's more what I can speak to than sort of the general like theoretical part of it.
Yeah, this is fun.
But in my personal experience, I've had lots and lots of coworkers refer to me as their work husband. And I feel weird about it. Because I feel like this is a dynamic that I am not choosing to participate in. And yet I am having to be called people's work husbands. There's a coworker of mine who...
Because you told one joke and you're nice?
Yeah, 100%. And I listened to their problems.
Oh, yeah.
And so my one coworker, she is my mom's age. And so she was like, I was like, in my head, I was like, she's higher than me. And I was like, she's like my work mom. And then she called me her work husband. And I was like,
uh-oh.
That is not the dynamic we have.
Mom, that is not the dynamic we have.
Mom, stop it, please.
Mom, stop making work uncomfortable. God.
You're making it weird for me, Mom. So that happened. Yeah. And then I've had several people call me work husband, but I never referred to anyone as my work wife because personally I find it strange and that would be uncomfortable. I imagine, I don't know what Darren's opinion on it would be. Darren, if you're listening, type it in the chat. But I feel like if I were super into it and came home like, oh, my work wife, I feel like she would get annoyed over time. And I think it would grate on me over time as well.
Yeah. Well, guys, if you have an opinion on the work wife, work husband debate, you need to watch the show live at twitch.tv/nowtrythiscast and come join the chat just like Fully Cooley did. And he said, Work mother, stop it. I don't like it. In a very sus way. You can be sus in our chat. Twitch.tv/now try this cast.
I like, yeah, no, work mom is gross. Never called anyone a
it
work
is.
wife. Think I have been jokingly referred to as work husband before. It is odd. It is weird.
That's the thing. What if it wasn't a joke? I
That's
think
true.
you know what it is. I feel like there's a lot of nomenclature and things that people say that I feel like are the like soft badminton baton pass for an affair. Like it's like you're my
soft launching an affair.
Yeah, you know, like what?
Yeah,
that's one of the ways that people do it. I feel like that's a small way that people.
It'd be weird if we just fucked in the office right now, right? Be weird. Would it be weird? Would it be weird?
It happened in Barry. Remember in Barry?
Wait, what? When did it happen in Barry?
It was like the girl, the actress girl. She was talking to her agent, and her agent said something. Like, well,
yeah.
But that would be really hard because then we'd be in a relationship.
Yeah. No, 100%. Fully Cooley says that we do occupy the same space for a long time. It is true. You know, like you said, mentioned with
Common law
severance,
marriage.
you're
with
kind
your
of like
people.
common law married. You spend more time with them than you do like your actual relationships and your
for
friendships.
some jobs. Yeah.
I see my coworkers a million % more than I see my friends. And it is annoying to me that is the case.
Marcus, what are we here to do today?
Nick, we're here to talk about love and not affairs in today's episode. Or maybe we talking about both.
Maybe we will. Today was my challenge, and I gave you the BBC/HBO Max show Starstruck, starring and created by Rose Matafeo. But Marcus, before we get to Starstruck, I do want to point out that we already know what next week's challenge is gonna be.
We do?
It was a statement. It wasn't a question. We do.
We do!
Because
exactly
all of our patrons very lovingly went to patreon.com/now try this cast and became a patron. The $5 tier members submitted their ideas of what we should do for a challenge next month. And then everybody, even the dollar people, everyone gets involved. It's a great community. Come chat up, people, argue your points, vote on what is going to be picked. And this month was the vote turned out to win by a very small margin. One vote changed the whole thing. It was 3 votes for this, 2 votes for something else, and then 1 vote for everything else. Everyone else voted for their own thing. We should make it a mandate. You can't vote for your own thing.
No. I mean,
but
do your thing, guys.
Yeah, do your thing. If you guys want to make a second account and pledge to us again to get 2 votes, you can.
Shout out to
Nothing's
Joseph who did that.
Is that what happened?
He made I checked because she signed up for the Patreon again, and I was
At
like,
$1.
he just changed it to $1 tier. That's fine.
Yeah, and I was like, cool. He's been giving us a lot of money.
And then I was like,
it.
oh no, there's 2 accounts.
And you know what the funny thing is?
Yeah.
Still lost.
Oh no, that's mean. Joseph,
Don't be a
Joseph.
don't be a cuck like Joseph.
No,
Do 4 accounts. You need
account.
4 accounts. 4 accounts if you want to be a real dude. But the winner this month is the Dropout. I will message the patron who gave us the Dropout to see what they think, how many episodes we should watch.
Okay.
I assume it's going to be 2 or 3 because who's got more than time for that? But next week on the show, we will be doing The Dropout, the Hulu original show.
And also, when you join the Patreon, you get a shout out because we like seeing our new patrons. So shout out to our newest patron, Taryn, who is a coworker of mine and a huge fan of the podcast.
Oh, if you have multiple accounts, can you then vote for your own pick fully coolly?
100%.
You have full autonomy of your own accounts. So if you want to sign up for the Patreon 16 times, give us $16, you get 16 votes. That's the way it works.
100%. You could technically like really reign supreme on the Patreon if you really wanted to start that many accounts.
We're a very small podcast, but I love the thought of us getting big enough, like a Ludwig, like so huge that, but it's so cutthroat, and we got a couple whales in there, and there's some people that have like 100 accounts just so they can win. And I'm like, okay, I don't know if I'd stop it. It would take a lot. I feel like if once people complain, I would stop it.
Yeah.
But if no one, it would take a lot because that's just funny to me. That's just really funny.
A good bit, but it depends on how long and how frustrated people were about it. That's the only thing.
Yeah, the community is important to us.
I think having a couple is fine if you want to do it.
But so we're waiting for a whale. If you want to be our whale, patreon.com/now try this cast. Whoever the first patron to have 16 accounts that vote will get a prize. You'll get this sticker.
Remind us that we said that. Remind us that we said that. Oh yeah, if we get to 30 patrons on Patreon, we're gonna give everyone a sticker too. So do that.
We need 8 more.
And double accounts count, I guess.
Yeah, sure. Get your girlfriend to sign up. Get your mother to sign up. Get your second cousin to sign up. And guys, this is the last we'll shill on this episode of the podcast because this one probably won't have anyone listen to it. It really helps the show if you do share with a couple friends. Just like we share our things with you, we would love it if you share the show with a couple friends.
100%. Beautifully said, Nick. Beautifully said. Have to keep up the act. Just comment as each account use VPNs all the time so no one knows. Guys, I appreciate all of the.
If you want to commit to the hard and argue with yourself in the chat with yourself with all your different 100%. Account names, have all your own little one act play.
Technically, if you signed up under different names and different emails, we have no way of knowing you're not a different person.
That's true. That's super, super true. Thank you to all our patrons. Next month at the next Thursday will be the Dropout. But today's episode of Starstruck. Oh God, imagine it was Star Trek, that piece of trash. Fuck.
Someone could give us Star Trek.
Dude, I'm so glad we have a guide yet. I fucking hate Star Trek.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
You know what? I don't hate Star Trek. I don't hate Star Trek. I hate the fan base. I hate that the fan base can't be like, we like a cool sci-fi show when it's cool. It's like, it's obviously the best thing in the world.
Do you hate the fan base, or do you hate the way that certain people that you know talk about it?
The couple people that I know talk about it are the fan base, Marcus. If you talk to other Star Trek people, they are how a lot of the base is.
It's hard for me to talk about fan bases because I feel like I like Star Wars a lot. And the fan base is bad. They are a bad fan base. And
that's why I don't love Star Wars as much as I wish I did.
Terrible. And so I'm like, I don't really participate in that part of things. I just enjoy media sort of like on my own and liking it. So I understand if you don't want to be a part of that fan base, though.
I feel like that's true for most things. Like, I feel like I would be more into Magic if this fan base was better. I would be more into Pokemon if the fan base was better. I'd be more into almost everything.
Yeah.
But the more you get into something, the more important it is to you, I think. Yeah. And then it's harder to separate that importance to you and the importance of what it is.
Yeah. I want to find the most wholesome fan base. If anyone has any recommendations. Okay, that's
fully cool. If anyone has a long running.
If anyone has any recommendations for fan bases for us to join, we could do that. We can really
I would love that.
Do a whole episode where we deep dive into a fan base that we are currently not a part of and see what it's like.
Oh yeah, fully cool. Keep me away from the Star Wars Reddit. Absolutely not. I'm on the D&D Reddit a little bit. Like, I'll check in from now and again. But I never comment because it's a fucking mess in there. It's a fucking
D&D is rough because there's a lot of wholesome D&D people.
There's a lot of wholesome, more than you would think, that 100%. Actually speak up and like will fight on your behalf in a good way. But there are also, what's up, that Gemster dude in the chat? Nice to see you. But they also are some of the most toxic.
Yes.
They have both.
Yeah, it's crazy that happens because you'll look in the comments for like a Critical Role and everyone will be like super pissed and upset, and then you look at the comments for like my brother Adventure Zone and they will be like, oh, like this is the reason I picked up D&D for the first time, and it was just like fun.
They have them in both. They have those in both.
But they're toxic people in both. Yeah.
Critical Role. The reason it got to where it is because of the beautiful fan base at the beginning, and then now it's just too big for it's just too big.
Yeah.
That Gemster dude. Yeah, we also love D&D. Everyone should go check out our Critical Role episode. I made Marcus play through a really quick one shot of D&D. That was a lot of fun. We do have a D&D group that we actually love a lot. We play every couple of weeks, and we've been playing with them for 4 years,
a long time,
4 or 5 years, and they were playing before us for a couple of years before that. We're called the Mostly Heroes, and they did something to piss me off last time, so maybe they're not the
fair enough.
No, they are a fantastic group. They're our best friends in the world, but
Nick,
they did do something to piss me off.
We gotta talk about the episode at some point.
Do we?
We could talk about the episode, right? And then at the end, if you just want to talk about D&D and stuff, or sprinkle it in throughout.
What if this has to do with the show, Marcus?
Okay. Nick, you
No, to
are
be
a
fair-
no, hold on. You are a master at bullshit. So why don't you connect D&D and Starstruck?
Cool. I will. Well, first off, though, time we wasted here is the time I would have normally asked you what you have been doing new.
Fair
We just
enough.
don't get the chance to do that now.
Mhm.
But the reason we're talking about D&D and these fandoms is because sometimes when you have these fandoms, you get invested in like a very specific way. And one place that there's a big fandom that we can't quite break into is the British comedy scene. The British comedy scene is full of personalities that play all these quiz games, that have their own stand-up specials, make their own shows. But you gave me one thing that I hated at the time that has been my wading into the pond of, and that's British comedy. You gave me Taskmaster.
I did give you
And I hated it.
Taskmaster.
I hated it. I
did.
thought it was a piece.
You liked like one episode, and I was like, you
I
know what?
liked
I'll take it.
the bit of it,
Yeah.
but I didn't get it. But then, as time went on, because we had watched Taskmaster on the show, every once in a while, the YouTube algorithm was like, hey, remember when you watched this Taskmaster thing? I'd be like, yeah, sure. And I would, what do you mean Taskmaster RIP? Is it canceled?
It might be canceled. I don't know.
Oh, no. Give us more info. I mean, to be fair, I still haven't watched all the old seasons. I'm still watching old seasons. But anyway, more things pop up, and every once in a while, one of the bits from the show would pop up that would literally just be one of the funniest things I'd ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, well, let me watch that whole episode. And then somehow over the course of this last 6 months to a year, I've watched like 3 or 4 whole series because it's just so interesting. And the last one that I got invested in was series 9, which had Rose Matafeo.
Nice.
And I thought she was kind of an odd duck. She was quirky and funny and weird, but also from New Zealand. So different than everyone else.
Yeah.
And I was like, who is this chick? And I Google her and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I see, oh, she made a show. What's that? I look at the trailer for the show. I was like, that seems funny. And then before I know it, in the span of like 3 days, I watched all of season 1, and then the next week, all of season 2 of Starstruck. And here I brought it all back, Marcus. We are on Starstruck.
Nice. Hell yeah. Okay. That's
Hell
true.
yeah. And Starstruck is a BBC comedy series created by and co-written by Rose Matafeo. It got picked up at HBO Max. There are 2 seasons. The 3rd season is on its way soon.
Yes,
Do you know what BBC 3 is? Because it's on BBC 3.
I think it's a channel. It's just a channel over there because they mention it a lot in TV shows. Like I think Taskmaster was also on BBC 3 at some point. I don't know.
So BBC is their PBS, but their PBS is way better than ours because they also have more channels.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
And it's also like government funded and stuff like that. So like it's just
like PBS. It's just they care about it.
Yeah. It's just like, but it's actually like a lot of arts and a lot of stuff is government funded over there, which is nice.
That's crazy. A whole TV show just for like the betterment of people like having fun and being okay at life.
Yeah. Yeah.
Weird.
Which is amazing, right?
Super
I feel
weird.
like it's
The Mighty Boosh is on BBC.
What's that one? The Mighty Bosch?
You don't know the Mighty Boosh?
What is in the Mighty Bosch?
My ex-girlfriend liked it. It's some weird British thing.
Okay.
It's like Flight of the Conchords, but more British.
Okay. That makes sense. 'Cause they were from New Zealand.
Marcus, what did you know about Rose Matafeo and or Starstruck before I gave it to you on the show?
Nick, Rose Matafeo was incredible on her season. I thought she was fantastic. She was hilarious. And I knew nothing about the show. I knew that Daron had watched it at some point, but then she didn't really say much about it afterwards. And she's normally like raving about the shows that she likes. And so I was like, okay, cool. I guess that's something that like I don't really need to watch. And so then I was like, okay, cool, whatever. And then I forgot about it entirely. And then you gave it to me and I was like, oh, I guess I am going to have to watch this. She inhaled it on one day. She watched all of it in one day. Okay, so maybe
Very
she did
easy
like
to do.
it.
It's a very easy watch.
Yeah, so it's 6 episodes. Each episode's a half hour each, so it wasn't honestly
Not even
all
like
that
20
much time.
minutes.
Yeah, that's true. So you could definitely
2
watch
hours.
this whole thing in a day, which is good and bad, I think. I guess I will start there. I feel like one of my first criticisms of the show is that like I wish it took its time a little bit more, and if there was more, I think we would have developed more of the side characters. I think there would have been more time to have like different plot lines going on at the same time. But it was a pretty hyper focused show, which I don't think I'm used to.
I think that the show is pretending to be a show, and it's clearly just a 2-hour rom-com movie. It literally does everything a 2-hour rom-com movie would do.
Yeah.
It is definitely maybe. It is 500 Days of Summer. It is just a rom-com. But broken broken up into 6-part. They even have some of the episodes start off summer, spring, like 500 days of summer.
Yeah.
It's just a rom-com. I don't disagree with you. If you're
yeah.
gonna do a show, why not do it like a show?
Either
But
one
also-
of those two would have been better, I think, for me, because I've had both thoughts during the movie. I was like, during the show, I was like, it could have been a movie or it could have been a longer show, and I think both would have been better, because with a movie you would have cut out a lot of the like slower parts, and with the full show you would have really like added more content.
Yeah, I think it's hard for me to gauge because I also know British television is weird. They make different choices than we make over here in terms, like if you go and watch some of the most critically acclaimed, like the best British comedy stuff in the world, sometimes as an American, if you're not used to it, you just don't get it. What's the name of that show that Hugh Laurie and Mr. Bean were on, and Stephen Fry?
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
most famous. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Hugh Laurie, Mr. Bean, Stephen Fry. You think it'll come up if I put that in?
100%.
Blackadder. It did. It was first.
Okay.
Blackadder.
So you started
Blackadder.
watching
It's supposed
that
to be
show?
one of my ex. So I had an ex that was super into British stuff. So much so that it was, she loved British stuff. And I think she loved British stuff because her family did. And her family liked it because they're slightly racist and stuck up. So anytime that stuff was on, why are you laughing? I don't understand.
Because it was true and it's funny. That's why I'm laughing. And also there's an amount,
true.
There's like, we all know those people, right? We all know those people, like, and every time I meet one of them, I mean, I didn't really hate Kate, but like, you know, I just don't like those people where they're like, I like this because it is pretentious. I like this because it's.
Yeah, we don't dislike Kate. We just lack all respect for her now.
Yeah, 100%. I follow whatever you feel, man.
Yeah, crushing those front points.
But yeah, oh, Man versus Bee. Yes.
Is that more weird British shit?
Mr. Bean has a show or movie about him fighting a bee. I don't know what the hell it is.
Oh, it's a TV show.
Yeah, I know they were making fun of it on Bim Bam. They just like sat and watched the trailer because it's just the dumbest shit.
Honestly, it looks great.
No, it looks bad. It looks bad.
Well, the dude is literally the guy who like Rowan Atkinson's like, this is what he does, you know?
Is Mr.
Like,
Bean's name Rowan Atkinson?
Yeah.
That name is
Mr.
too
Bean,
cool for the person it is attached to.
I don't know if you know this. You might, but like on YouTube, Mr. Bean videos have like skyrocketed with the newest generation. Like, because it's so wholesome. People just watch it because it's so funny. Like him and his slapstick. I'm not making it up. Shut up.
It's a conspiracy.
There's nothing.
There's a conspiracy. Go here.
If you go to YouTube and watch Mr. Bean videos, they are all over. They are flooring everything else. It's the newest generation. They like, you know what? Never mind. I take
Did
back
you
my
pay
comment. You
for
don't
those
deserve it, though.
views?
Why? I don't like Rowan Atkinson. I'm just letting you know. You're trying to work me up. I don't appreciate it. We haven't even started talking about the show yet. The point is, people who write like British shit are stuck up and spoiled. No, that's not. I
think you're allowed to like it, but I think there is an amount. There is a type of person that likes it because it makes them feel like they are better than other people. Same thing with people who are like pronounce French shit with a heavy French accent, even though they've never been to France.
Oh, Marcus?
People say croissant. You know,
I just met somebody who unironically said, "Oh God, what did he say?" He said, "Wait," and he said it, "Wait," and he describes it. Well, it's depth, width, height. Unironically, and then I got to talk to this dude, and he's into Pokemon. And he's like a really cool dude. Like I want to be his friend. He's like into Pokemon. He said he nuzlocked with his partner over the pandemic. I was like, I want to talk more to you, but I can't get over the fact that you said height.
Yeah. You're allowed to speak French outside of France. I totally understand. Plenty of people. We're in New York City. People speak French all the time. I get it, but there are a certain type of person that is American, and they say croissant because I've met a lot of them.
All over the place. Marcus, British television is a weird thing that we could fall down a rabbit hole talking about forever. But because of that, I usually miss the boat on most things that are probably really great. I just started watching it doesn't matter. I'm getting off topic again. Starstruck. I started watching Starstruck.
This is the hardest episode to talk about. I'm going to be honest. this is a hard show to talk about because it's in this weird space of being not long enough to be like a series that there's a lot of depth. Francophiles, thank you. Yes, those guys. That's what I meant. Those guys suck. But it's
What's wrong with Frank?
It's the same thing as being a weeb for France. It's the fucking annoying. Anyway, so yeah, so it's just like it exists in this weird space where it's not a movie that has like a fully fleshed out thing, and it's a TV show, but it's shorter. And I know there's more seasons, but it didn't feel like there was a lot to really dive into for this show.
The only thing is their relationship.
Yeah, the whole show is their relationship, and the relationship I feel like is so nondescript, I guess. Like it's okay. So the show follows Rose Matafeo, whose name is Jessie, and she falls in love with Tom, who is a movie star
played by Nikesh Patel. Yep.
And so Jessie and Tom meet at a New Year's Eve party, and they sleep together, and she sort of slowly realizes that he is famous. And
the whole series is them like coming together, coming apart, coming together, coming apart. Will they, won't they? Classic will they, won't they rom-com.
100%.
Yep.
And so the moments where they were coming together and going apart, I feel like were super stressful. And I feel like in a typical rom-com, you have, just like a horror movie or anything else, you have like those moments where they build up the tension, they build up the stress, but then it's met with a release, right?
Yeah.
You get something, they kiss, they fall in love, whatever it is.
Oh, you didn't get that.
And I didn't get that at all.
Because of the format of the show.
Because of the way the show is structured. And
until the end.
Until the end. And so
I would argue that because of that, the ending is very satisfying.
I agree. I think that I like the ending of the show. I think the last episode was well crafted. I think it was really nice. I think there was some like of the better cinematography that's been in the show. I think it was like well written and it made sense. And I like the character have like interactions. And I like that final moment. That final moment was a very rom-com-y moment. And it was relatable.
Yeah.
I don't know. Should I keep talking about the ending, I guess we'll talk about whatever we want, right?
We talk about whatever we want. I think just to comment on what you're talking about is I don't disagree with you. For me, if we had all the time in the world, I would have given you both seasons, because upon completing the second season, it was way better than the first. And I liked the first. We're going to talk about things we liked. I'm sure you liked similar things about it, and the things that maybe you were like, I don't know why, like this the thing you're talking about right now, where the releases, I agree with you. The second season, they're together. And rom-coms, one of the hardest things about liking rom-coms, and I think you're probably starting to relate to it too now that you're like so invested with your partner, and because of this podcast, one of the hardest things about rom-coms is they don't get together for most of it. Made in Manhattan. That movie would have been better if they were just together. We could have saw the relationship. That's the kind of stuff we like in movies and TV shows, the family relationship stuff. So like all these things that were happening, which are like one conversation, and it happens in every rom-com. One conversation, one phone call, one text message literally fixes the whole show and the whole movie.
Wraps everything up.
It's something you accept. And I accept it probably to a fault, but I would say probably similar to the same way you probably accept some horror movie stuff that I
for sure.
What the fuck's that? It's so weird, right?
That's a great point, because I was watching this, and the whole time I was watching this, I was like, if I was more into rom-coms, I would easily accept this show and like binge it and like it, you know, because I'm the same way with horror movies. Like I'll watch this same kind of caliber of horror movie and be like, I had such a fun time. That was great. And I'll remember it and I'll recommend it to other people. But it's because it's one of my favorite genres. You know, and I'm like,
nothing happened. Where's 100%. The tension? It was never released. You didn't find out who the bad guy was till episode 8.
100%. Yeah. And so I would be like, oh no, it's so good. I liked it. I really liked it. And this show felt like that for rom-com people. I think rom-com people, you know, are more starved for content than horror fans.
I think so. There's a lot of bad rom-com. There's not a lot of good rom-com. There's a lot of good horror.
Although if you count Hallmark movies, then you got a lot of content.
There's even more bad.
You got that's true. You got a lot of content, but you got a lot of bad content. But if you don't
the ratio's off.
If you don't count Hallmark movies, I would say there aren't that many rom-coms being made every year.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Netflix makes their 3 or 4. Amazon Prime will make 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And every 5th one is okay.
Yeah, and we barely. I mean, we're not getting like theatrical releases of rom-coms. Darren complains about it all the time.
Oh yeah, we don't. We just don't, do we?
No, we got
Unless it's
recently we
yeah.
got Lost City, and we're getting one with George Clooney and Julia
Sometimes
Roberts.
we'll get Amy Schumer or a we got a Rebel Wilson a couple before the pandemic. We'll get an Amy Schumer, but you're right. There's not a lot. There's not a people they'll bank on anymore.
No, I mean we got and we get big ones every once in a while, right? We got Crazy Rich Asians. We got Fire Island. Did you watch that one? It is
rom-com.
It is Pride and Prejudice, but on Fire Island with gay men, and it's a great movie. I really liked it. It was fun.
That sounds really good. But yeah, to your point, we don't get a lot. So I think that's one of those things. But to talk about what you're talking about, yeah, I agree. I that's why watching the second season, I was like, oh shit, this is so much better. Because at the end of the first season, spoilers, they're together. So
yeah,
imagine these same like funny scenarios with Rose and Tom being an odd couple, but there's this one, and it's not a spoiler, and if you watch it, cool. If you don't, no biggie. But like, just one perfect example is at the beginning of one of these episodes in the second season, they are arguing so hard, like it feels like it's about to be the end of a relationship, and then after like 8-10 lines of the argument, you find out it's about a Scrabble word, and then it pans out and her roommate and her boyfriend are there, and they're like, we can go, and they were like, so should we pack up? And Rose and Tom are like, no, let's play another game, we're having a great time, it's cool. And that was just like the opening stinger before the episode started. But imagine that for the whole thing, it feels more like Friends or How I Met Your Mother, which is how I think we want this to feel, right? Like rom-com TV show.
Yeah, watching this first season felt like I wanted it to be over. I was like, I need this chase to be over because I like their dynamic a lot. And I want them to get together and be in a relationship. And I want to see that interaction a lot, because a lot of this was them separate. It was quick. They interacted with one another until things exploded. Then they were separate, and they were watching Jessie by herself a lot, which is fine. But none of the other characters were fleshed out enough that it really enjoyed her interactions.
There was no B or C. There was no B or C.
Yeah, exactly. And
like
so
the extent of a B was the roommate met a guy, and in the third episode they were together. That's like the extent of a B storyline we get.
Yeah. And so like me not liking those interactions and me wanting more of them, I was like, oh, I am excited for the point in which these two are just together and I get to watch that. So weirdly enough, even though I didn't really like super love season 1, I am excited for season 2 because I feel like the writing is there, the comedy is there, the acting is there, the interactions are there, everything's there. I just didn't like the what I was watching for season 1, and what I'll be watching in season 2 is a completely different thing. And so I think, there's something I'm excited to see there at least. Just
to swerve what do you think about our leads? We got Rose Matafeo, New Zealander who is working and lives in London, who, fun fact, maybe you know this, she's a comedian that was from New Zealand that moved to London to be in a relationship. Then after a couple of years, that relationship, they broke up, and now she's still in London, but now she's like a London comedian. So it's not true to life, but like, and the comedian she dated is pretty famous. Do you know who she used to date?
No.
Oh, you know him because he's from Taskmaster, James Acaster.
Oh, James. Yes, I did know that. Yeah.
They were in a relationship for a while. And that's why she lives in London. That's why we get her here now.
Wait, that's why she lives in London? Because they were dating?
That's what it says in my quick Google searches.
Which is very similar to this interaction that she had here. Because she was talking about how she's only here because she was dating somebody.
Yep.
Oh, I wonder if it was Dan? Is that who she was talking about? Or no, they didn't give a name for the person
another guy. They might have said one way. He shows up in the second season. I think his name's Brady or
I wonder if that person is sort of like a stand-in for James Acaster.
I think so. And if it's not, I think it's I love comedians. I love all the random shit they make. But sometimes when they pull a little from life like this, I just always find it like it speaks true. Like people say write what you know, because it's true. When you write what you know, it really like says something different. You know,
yeah.
it really hits home.
Yeah.
But anyway, Rose Matafeo and Nikesh Patel. What do you think of our people, our leads? The whole show's them. It's barely anybody
whole
else.
show
No one
is
else even
them.
worth mentioning.
So I like Rose Matafeo. I think she's very funny. I like her
Yeah, she's
character. I think she's too. I understand that part of it is her being a mess, but I think with a lot of shows, you get the mess in the beginning, and then you get like them becoming a functional adult at the end,
Yeah.
or at some point they learn a lesson or something like that, or grow.
Or you find out that who they are is okay. I feel
Or
like
that
rom-coms
too.
do that maybe
Sure.
1/4
Yeah.
of the time, right?
Yeah.
Like it's okay she works at a movie cinema because she wants to.
100%.
Oh, apparently the actress who plays Kate was her real life roommate. Yeah, and I think all her friends in the thing are really her friends, like her improv comedy friends. I saw a bunch of them doing an improv show in London, and I was like, oh, I think she just got all her friends. That's so cool.
Yeah.
And it did give me a moment like, oh, if I got a show, would I like bring in some of my improv friends? And I'd be like, yeah, I totally would. I would like, hey, you did improv with me. Come be in my show.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's true. There's a there's a poll in the chat. Is key a word?
That
Vote.
was what the argument was in the second season, the Scrabble that they were fighting about.
Is
That's
it
so funny.
Okay, you have to exclamation point yes for no for yes, and exclamation point no for no to vote. Nice.
I am a diehard by the book rules person. So if you can play it in the official if you can play it in the official Scrabble tournaments, then it counts. Yeah, it's an official word. If one of our friends is like huge into Scrabble tournaments, and
yes,
he would
it
say,
is an official word
and I
you can
respect
play.
him.
Yeah.
Man, that Jansen dude said maybe.
Chaos.
Chaos ensues in the chat.
I
Guys,
love
come
it. I
join
love
us.
it. I love it.
Twitch.tv/now try this cast.
100%.
What do you think of Tom? I think I grew to really like Tom. I thought for a little bit I was wondering what he was doing in the show because he was so like mild. But like I think it was a choice. I think by the end I was like, I liked him. I liked the choices he was making. It was so weird because I think Streamlads, you can no longer vote Old Man Rom. Yes, too late, Old Man Rom. You couldn't get in there. I think that juxtaposing a normal person and a movie star, but then Rose was the crazy, interesting, smart, charismatic person, and then the movie star was like the normal person.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Tom has no quirks. He has 0 quirks.
No, you're absolutely
no quirks
right.
whatsoever. It was super
Yeah.
interesting.
It is
how
really
they, like,
interesting. Because he could have been an interesting guy. He could have had a lot going for him. He was like, oh, I'm busy on set. I'm doing this. He seemed to not have a lot to do, like at any given moment. He had a lot of free time. She was working 2 jobs.
Yeah.
You know?
But he seemed super like, he didn't seem boring. He seemed funny and charismatic, but he was super normal.
Yes. He was a pretty normal guy.
Yeah.
And the concept of her having to date like a celebrity and what comes with that too is also really interesting. I think I would like to see more of that. That's another thing. There's so much stuff that was in
Old
season
Man
1.
Rom. He's quirkless? Yes, Old Man Rom. He was quirkless. That was for the weebs.
He is quirkless.
Weeb.
But it's so funny. Like there's just so many like little things that I would have loved to see more. And with season 2, hopefully I do get to see them. But like there was a few jokes.
You see him on set. You see that kind of stuff.
Like where she comes out and they think she's the maid. I was like, funny. That's so funny. That's a great bit, you know? And I feel like I would have liked to see the interactions more. And with season 2, I'll probably get that where like them having to be public. Like last we left off, he wasn't even willing to like show that he was in the room with her to the girl that he was a cast member with. You know, he could have been like, hey, sorry, no, I have someone in the room.
Oh, is that what you took away from that?
I mean, they weren't dating. They weren't in a relationship or anything.
You know what? I think your take is totally valid. He could have just been like, I don't want to be seen with her. I'm embarrassed. I'm not with her.
Sure. I don't think that's
my take.
maybe. But
I thought he just didn't want to piss off the blonde. She seemed scary.
I don't know. It was just a weird interaction, right? And we never got an answer, right? Like
it was. Then they had a fight.
Yeah. He never said anything. He was like, "I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done that. Well, the reason I did it was this, and that was wrong." It was like, he apologized.
He's too normal.
But it was like, what were you scared of? Was it because
he was avoiding the
awkward
situation? That's literally all.
Probably,
It's
yeah.
normal, yeah. But
It's
I
weird.
get what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is weird.
I saw her side of things. I would have definitely been offended. Like, come on.
You know what's funny? This show, the premise of the show that they blanket and they say is the premise of the show is regular person meets movie star, they try to date. The show seems so disinterested in that. There's so many more
Yeah.
bits that they could have, Notting Hill style,
Yeah.
about him being a movie star and her not. The show is about a quirky girl who has a relationship phobia meeting a normal guy.
Yes.
Which is what most rom-coms are about,
Yep,
regardless.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
that
yeah.
is what the show is. And I'm okay with it.
For
But
sure.
it is funny that you're pointing out now to me, and I'm like, there aren't a lot of bits or scenario. Like, is there a little bit of like the agent saying, oh, you can't date a normie? You know, there's like
Yeah.
that's in there, but it's not what the show's about at all.
No. It's not. It's weird that it's like the
Yeah.
hook, right? It's the premise of the whole
Yeah.
thing. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And you're like, okay, all of their interactions are like mainly indoors in someone's apartment or, and it's like, okay, you're not gonna like really have too many public dates or anything. There's that one part where
Yeah.
they like are at the pub and then they come out and then there's like that weird sort of interaction with celebrities. I mean, with fans, and that was fine, but like they didn't do anything.
You could have made
fun
the whole
with
movie
it.
about that. You could have had
Yeah.
the whole show about that, but they just didn't. They were disinterested in, I guess. Weird. I didn't notice that till now. Question: do you think it's his responsibility to, when he hooks up with someone, to explain his net worth and his like IQ, not his IQ? What do
That
they call
is
it?
interesting.
What do they call the score? What do they call the score with how popular you are in the entertainment world? Your QI score. You're like,
your
what is it called?
Clout score? No,
It's not that. Anyway, if you know what it is, put it in the chat. But is it his responsibility to say, I am this famous when they hook up? Well, what do you think? Would you like, what
It's
would
so
you,
interesting
because
you
I
say
had this
that.
thought as an actor.
Yeah.
I'm like, if I've been in stuff, am I supposed to say I've
it's
been in stuff?
interesting because I think normally you have a conversation before you have sex, I guess, but they didn't really
Maybe
talk.
the way you do it, Marcus. I don't know.
He said
That
he was an
sounds judgy.
actor. He did his
He
best.
said he was an actor.
And she could have asked a follow-up question.
And she said, no. Very
yeah,
funny.
exactly. 100%.
You know why that's funny? Because Lexi said the same thing to me.
That she said ill, no?
Sort of. She said she would never date an actor. She hated actors. She would never date one. She couldn't imagine ever doing it. And here we are.
Look at that. She said that to you on the date?
No, she told that to me after.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, man, I don't know how she got a second date.
Well,
but afterwards is fine.
Darren says no. And Fully Cooley says no. It's not his responsibility.
Yeah, not for
a
a one
net
night
worth
stand.
on a
Wow.
hookup? No way.
Okay, so there it is. I mean,
well, what do you think?
It's really interesting because I feel like personally, I don't care. Like like if someone is accidentally a celebrity and I sleep with them, like that's not going to hinder me in any way from pursuing a relationship, or it's not going to really affect anything because I don't care. Whatever. I know it's like going to create a different dynamic, but in the grand scheme of things, if you like the person, you like the person no matter what. But Darren's so funny because she constantly is giving me lists of like, if this were the case, like if you ran for office, we would have to break up. If I became famous, I think we would have to break up. If I all of a sudden
don't join the Patreon. Don't join the Patreon. Don't do it.
If I all of a sudden got like superpowers, we would have to break up. There's like anything that would really bring me into the public eye more.
Oh, is that why she's a producer on the show? Because since she's like a part of it now, like if you get famous for this podcast,
She can
it's
control us not getting famous. Yeah, she has more control.
That's not what I meant.
That's what it is. That's what it
is. She is actively like denying patrons, like signing up and saying, "Oh, I'd like to sub." She's like, "Fuck no, can't get over 20."
She said that depending on the superpower. Yeah, she said if I specifically walking on water. Also, if I start walking on water, she's like, she's
because
out.
you would pretend you're a god.
I mean, I wouldn't pretend. I would be a god, Nick. So there's a difference. Maybe it's because she knows me.
Maybe we all do. You would be like, okay, I'm a god now. Cool.
I'm a god. Great.
I knew all along. I've been saying for years. I just have the proof now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we see what you mean.
If you sleep with a celeb, you got some clout unless you sign an NDA. That's fair.
Oh, there was that. Wait, never mind. That was in the second season. Ignore me.
Man, so
There's a joke about an NDA in the second scene. It was very funny.
oh, there you
The
go.
second
Yeah,
season.
I feel like
Uh,
as long as you don't have to sign an NDA about it, as long as you're fine, like, and you can salvage your relationship dynamic or whatever, I think it's fine. I don't think you have to
What would you
disclose
do?
that until the second
So you wouldn't
interaction,
until the
though.
second date if you were in that situation?
If I were the celebrity,
Yeah.
I would not bring it up until like it was like, oh, I have to see this person again, and we're gonna get more like intimate.
Or until they see the posters of you in the living room.
Well, I wouldn't have posters of myself in the living room.
Well, Marcus, you would have. Shut up. You would. Yes. No. Shut up, Marcus. Shut up.
No,
Marcus, if
I would
you
have
were,
like one
Marcus,
of the like
shut up.
generic
You would have
ones.
posted.
That's like
No,
a
shut up.
minimalist poster of the movie I was in.
If you were, I don't believe you. I'm calling bullshit. Listen, I could be wrong. You could think whatever you want about your life, Marcus. But I know that the Marcus that I know, if his face was on things, those things would be in his home.
No, that's not true. My face is on the podcast logo. That's not anywhere.
The sticker's on your water bottle.
No, it's not.
It was.
No, it never was.
It was.
It never was, baby, because it has
It was
my
on the
face
last
on
one.
it, and I was super self-conscious about it, so I didn't put it on there.
I don't believe you. I think if you had a movie posted, it'd be in your living room.
Fair enough. What about you, Nick? If you were a celebrity,
He hates pictures of himself now, Darren, because he's not famous. It's a constant reminder of his failure in life. But if you were famous and you're on like Star Wars, you'd put that shit up. Wait, am I projecting?
Huh? Yeah, I was gonna say. I feel like you're just talking about yourself.
Am I the weird one that if I was in Star Wars, I would have a poster of Star Wars in my house? That's not weird.
You know what, Nick? I'm real proud of you for that moment. I feel like I was like, man, Nick really doesn't know me. Like, it's so strange. Like, we've been friends for so long. I don't know what's going on here. And then you stopped yourself and realized you were projecting. I was like, great, cool. I didn't have to tell you.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So then, yes. So your answer is like first date. You're telling them you're a celebrity.
I don't want to brag, but I had a small speaking part.
I think you
Malcolm
would
in the
bring it
Middle.
up. I don't think you would say it outright, but I do think you'd be like, oh, sorry, I was on set. We're shooting a big movie. And then allow them to ask what it was. And then you would tell them everything.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, see?
I don't
Fully
know.
Cooley says, I wouldn't have the character poster of myself, but maybe just the main poster. That's what I'd have. I'd have like a minimalist poster that had like the title and a couple designs, maybe my outline, depending on what
Like
it
if
was.
you were in Dune, you wouldn't have the Dune montage of everyone's face. You'd have the Dune poster that just says Dune with some sand.
100%. Yes, exactly. Yep. Yeah.
All right, whatever.
This is why famous people
Oh,
have Raya. Yeah, 100% Raya.
Oh, I would get a riot a heartbeat in that situation. I'd be like, I am pristine. I am a big deal. Honestly,
Well-
that's not true. I would need people to constantly remind me.
Hey, you're famous.
Yeah,
Remind you or like worship you?
the second one.
Okay.
Though there was one time that I did do a show in New York City, and maybe an hour or two, I was walking with Lexi near Times Square, and a family recognized me and raved about how amazing I was and
Yeah.
thanked me for an amazing time.
Yeah.
And then I looked at Lexi and I said, I'm fucking famous. Did you see that? Did you see that shit? They almost fucking asked for an autograph. I'm fucking famous.
I can't
People
handle
want a
it.
piece of me.
I can't handle it. Shout out
But it
to
was a joke because
Yeah.
the truth is, I'm just happy that those kids, like,
That's
maybe
true.
they'll go into acting because they saw
Yeah.
a cool thing,
That
like
is
that's so
nice.
special. That's
I was
that's
gonna
why I do
say
it.
shout out to Taryn again because she's tried to tell me how great the podcast is and I couldn't handle it. I was like, stop. I just like got super awkward. She was like, I can never talk to you about your podcast. I was like, 100%. I get too awkward. If you give me compliments about how much you like something that I did or whatever, I just turn red and I get real awkward.
I'm better than that. When I'm not making a joke because it's my partner and it's funny, I'm usually just like, oh, thanks.
That's true.
That
That's fair.
and saying that exact
Yeah,
same
yeah, yeah,
inflection,
yeah.
that exact same. I hear myself say that. The other day, I was at an improv practice, and the guy saw me do an improv show where I was a volcano, and he said it was a great show, and he really loved it. And I was like, oh,
Mhm.
thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know. I made a choice. It was probably a stupid one. He's like, no, I thought it was super funny. It was fucking great. And I was like, oh,
Nice.
thanks.
Nice. That's great.
That's how I usually. That's how I usually am.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
awkward.
yeah.
It is awkward.
So no, I would not have posters everywhere, and I would
And
disclose it
I
on the
would.
second date.
I would, and I would find. I don't know. I would probably also not say anything. But if I was big enough, Here's the thing: once you're big enough, you don't have to say anything. But if you are big enough, I feel like you do have to tell the person because it affects them. You also have to be more careful, right? Because like if you just have a one night stand with somebody and you're like famous, they're gonna sell that shit to fucking Page 7.
You know what
Right?
you do? You do the
What?
whole
I
thing.
don't know.
You have the whole interaction. You talk them up. You go on your
Right.
date. You have a lovely time. And if they decide to come back to your house, your hotel room, whatever it is, at the end of the night because they enjoyed themselves and everything's consensual, on the pillow, you just have an NDA and a pen.
Fully clearly read your mind. He said NDA at the same time.
You just have an NDA sitting right there on the bed,
and it
then
either
they
goes
see
further
it,
or it doesn't.
and they see it and they know that you're something. They don't know what. And then at that point, you can have a conversation about it, and then they can decide whether or not they want to sign the NDA and move forward or leave.
The problem is, I feel like if someone broke an NDA, I couldn't charge them. I would feel too bad.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, no, I would never.
And it's Fully Cooley is fucking nailing. He says an NDA and a tiny chocolate.
An NDA and a tiny mint chocolate on the pillow.
And I also love the rationale of the movie poster thing. I think they nailed it. They said they wouldn't have any movies they were proud of. They would only have movies that would have a bad Rotten Score tomato on their poster.
Yeah.
To avoid the interactions.
Mm-hmm. Also, if they go to your house and they see a bunch of posters of you or like of movies, and then they can put it together like, oh, I've seen that movie. Oh, I've seen you before. Oh, you're a famous person.
Last question about this, and then we can move on. Would you, because I just watched Anna Akana do a YouTube video about this. Shout out to her.
I don't know who the hell that
YouTube
is.
videos. She makes those kind of things like, do you ever feel like you're the friend that talks too much and then it cuts to la 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 la? Well, there's a scientist, and she just like does one of those kinds of things.
Got it.
She does like those little videos. And she did one where she was with someone. And here's the question. Would you, if you were famous,
Mm-hmm.
couple million subscribers on YouTube famous, relative movie star famous, we're not talking Brad Pitt, but if you were famous, because Brad Pitt, everyone knows who Brad Pitt is, but would you specifically only want to be with people who know who you are so you don't have to explain it? Or would you want to try to find someone that had no idea who you are so they can love you for you? Is that important to you? How do you feel about that? I don't know how I feel about that.
I feel like I don't mind either one of those, but I do want them to love me for me and to not have the idea of me in their head, which is a hard thing to do, right? People like fall in love with celebrities all the time. There's that danger of forming a parasocial relationship that is present and weird. And so if you fall in love with someone who doesn't know you, that almost seems better because they're getting to know you for you. And yes, this acting thing is a part of it, but they're not necessarily worshiping you because of it.
Well, let's expand that more. What if we're both single and this podcast was more famous? Would you date a fan of the podcast?
No. I think fan is different. Fan is different.
I meant fan.
You meant fan?
I didn't mean just knows you.
Oh, knows you is different than fan.
And watched a couple of videos.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. That's what I thought you meant.
I meant a fan. Sorry.
Fan is no. Fan is a never for me. That's a never. I feel like once you go into that territory, it's just creepy and it feels predatory because you do have a certain amount of power over them, right? And I feel like if you are using that power, then
and they know things you haven't shared with them. You've shared some shit on this podcast, right?
Yeah, 100%. And so like you end up in this weird dynamic where you are above them. And I don't like that power structure.
I agree.
For a relationship. I don't think it'll last.
I asked Lexi to get something out of the fridge from me, and I told her, never mind. I didn't feel comfortable asking you to do that. I'll do it myself. So I understand.
There you go.
I totally understand. And just to finish off the Anna Akana video, she met somebody on set. They hit it off. They had sex. And then he told her he was a fan of all her videos, and he joined that set to meet her.
That's creepy.
It was super creepy.
Yeah, that's really creepy. Yeah. At that point, like if you're like, I am a creepy weirdo fan and I want to sleep with you, but you end up passing all the like normal tests and you get past, you never say that. On your wedding day, maybe. On your fucking wedding day, maybe you can be like, oh, like,
Marcus, I feel like somehow that's worse. You either get
when you have your third child, then you can maybe say like, you know what? I do have to
whole life was a lie?
I have to admit that like I was a fan of yours.
Now that little Jimmy's going to kindergarten, I just have to let you know that everything about our beginning of our relationship was a lie.
You convinced me. On my deathbed, I will tell.
That's better. You can do it on your deathbed. Yeah. Deathbed's good.
Yeah.
He fully Cooley's like a wedding day would be way
Well,
worse.
wedding day, at least they have an option to bail. Deathbed.
Darren, read what Darren said.
When do I drop? I've been a fan of the podcast since its inception. See? Okay. Well, we think about that. Now, if Darren revealed that to me and it was like, I don't know, I arranged this somehow, our meeting, I would be fine with it because at this point, it's like, you know what? Whatever. You know me well
because
enough.
you're like in love and you bought a house together and you're good.
Yeah.
It's like, good job. Good job.
Yeah,
Kudos.
100%.
They play the long game.
Uh-huh.
She hacked into Hinge. You don't have to hack into Hinge. You just have to like oddly be around
You just
him
have to
when he's on Hinge.
100%. They just have to pass you in the street or something.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Well, anyway, back to the show. I agree with you about all the things you've said. I do think though that the quirkiness and the lightheartedness of it really works for me. I really love Rose Matafeo. I love how Tom Kapoor is so normal. That back and forth really works. Like, and there's all these like little stupid little moments. I think the show is perfect at stupid little moments.
Yeah.
It's something that's usually lacking from me from most rom-coms. They'll get the big sweepy moments, but then the little moments are like dumb.
Yeah.
And they're like, they don't
yeah.
hit and they're not funny.
Yeah.
And like the calm is missing from a lot of roms
Mhm.
a lot of the time. But this one was legitimately funny. Rose and Tom
Yeah.
were charismatic. Like the fact that he comes over to practice his Australian lines with her and they're practicing him in the bedroom. Cute.
It's cute.
Funny.
There's a lot of cute
It's cute.
moments.
It's funny.
Yeah.
It was so cute. So funny.
I feel like this show had a little less rom in it, you know?
Oh, yeah.
But that's
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
I think it works for a show that is going to be multiple seasons. The problem also is that it felt like they knew they were going to have more than one season. I don't know how TV
Maybe.
works over there, but I feel like a lot
I
of
don't-
times with shows, they'll like, if they're not
A second
sure,
series was commissioned before the first
there you
series
go.
aired.
Boom! Figured it out. Okay, yeah. So I feel like it felt weird that they knew that they were going to have more. And that's the vibe I was getting from that whole thing.
But Darren, when he said, "You know, I'm a grown man," right? That was romance. She's referring to the moment when they were going to hook up for the second time, and he invited her up, and she was like, "I don't know," and he's like, "Oh, I wasn't trying to," and she's like, "No, I want to come up. It's just my period," and he was like, "You know, I'm a grown man, right?" And
That's true.
It was very hot.
That's true.
It was very hot.
Yeah.
Period sex. That's a sign of real love.
Run red lights, baby. Do it.
That's a sign of real love.
Mhm.
A sign of real love probably isn't when one of our friends one time told us period sex isn't weird, right, guys? And we were like, no. And he was like, oh, my partner does. And we were like, why are you sharing this when we're in the middle of a Comic-Con floor? You don't remember that?
I don't know who you're talking about.
You don't remember that?
No.
I'll put it in our private chat.
Okay.
You know who this is.
Okay.
And once I say who it is, you're gonna be like, oh,
I think now I know maybe who it is, but one of the few people we would go to Comic-Con with. But yes.
Anyway, I just messaged you on Facebook who it was.
Oh, now I have to look at Facebook?
I thought you had it open. We communicate through there.
I did not think that's who it was.
You didn't remember that?
No, I don't remember that. I blocked it out.
Anyway.
But it's on brand.
Oh, it's very on brand.
Mhm.
So not as romantic.
No.
But yeah, I just love the all those little moments. I mean, there's too many to like even like talk about, but like
I think if it wasn't for the little moments, I would have hated the show.
oh yeah,
They was
yeah.
the only
it
thing
lives and dies in its little moments.
holding the sort of romance of the show together at all.
Totally
You know?
agreed. And that's what kept me watching. That's why I loved this show. I loved my experience watching it. I wouldn't give the show a 10 out of 10. It's a very specific kind of thing.
Yeah.
But the reason it was because it is perfect. It is a perfect train show.
Mhm.
Train shows are hard to find. It's why I watch so much YouTube on the train.
Yeah.
My commutes are somewhere between 20 and 30 minutes. It's not enough for a prestige show. There's not a lot of comedies out that are good.
Yeah.
But a 15-minute YouTube videos about Pokemon or chess or
Yeah.
Anna Akana talking about relationships or her therapist or whatever. Perfect. But this show is a perfect train show. I can watch while I'm playing a game, a couple quick jokes.
Mhm.
But then in the background, I realized when I was falling in love with the show, it wasn't the beginning because I was like, this is cute. This is fine.
Yeah.
It's as I was growing to love Rose and Tom, or Jesse and Tom and their relationship. And then by the time that ending hit, that last episode, that moment, which is like it was like a good version of The Graduate ending, like riding off into the sunset together, but
Yes.
like with hope instead of like in The Graduate where it's like with dread at the rest of their lives at what happens next. Do you remember that? You know what I'm talking about?
I watched The Graduate, but I don't remember it being dread.
The last moment of The Graduate is he goes to the
They're
wedding.
on the bus, leaving the
and,
wedding.
and they're like smiling. They get on the bus, but then they stay on them for like a minute too long as they're riding away, and their smiles turn to frowns. And then you're supposed. This is my takeaway. Maybe I'm wrong, but the takeaway I think you're supposed to get is, what did I just do?
Yeah.
And it's the funny thing where it's like, yes, it's super romantic. You stopped the wedding, but what happens next?
Yeah.
You still slept with her mom.
Yeah.
What are you going? Where are you going? Where are you gonna go? What are you gonna do? You want to? Yes, that was romantic. Yes, you like her. You maybe even love her, but you have to spend the rest of your life with her because you just took her away from her wedding.
Yeah.
And that was like what was painted over their face.
That's
Darren
true.
agrees with me, Chip.
Okay.
It was the only good part of that movie. I agree, Darren. It's not my favorite movie, but I think the culmination of it was a
Old
good
White
payoff.
Men love that movie.
Old White Men. Our teacher loved that movie. He
Yeah,
was old
I've
and
seen
white.
it twice because of teachers. I have not wanted to watch that movie one time, and I've seen it twice. There's a lot of movies like that. A lot of movies old white men have forced me to watch that I do not want to watch.
It's like a cry for help from you. But I think, and maybe I'm reading too much into it, but I thought the ending of this TV show was a direct parody of the ending of A Graduate.
Yeah,
but it ends with hope and excitement. And I felt excited for them because, like you said, 6 episodes went by and they weren't together, and it was fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And it's like, yes, finally, we're here. And let me tell you, the way the second season starts is exactly how I would want it to start.
Good.
Because it starts literally on the bus.
Good.
And they're like, so I missed my stop. And that's the beginning of the second series.
I like that.
It is really good. It is really great.
Rom-coms, and I'm not as experienced as you or other people with rom-coms, but I will say I get the vibe.
You're allowed to have an opinion.
I get the vibe that rom-coms are, the way the movies are structured is it is like 90% chase, and then at the very end they're like maybe even 99% chase sometimes. And then at the very end, they get together and you don't get to see any more of it. And that's fine as long as the chase is interesting. And so this felt like 99% chase, but I didn't enjoy the chase in any way because the chase was them arguing a lot and it stressed me out.
Yeah, agreed. I think that's why some people really love movies like 500 Days of Summer that are like a direct commentary on the fact that movies are like that. You know? It's like, what are you like 500 Days of Summer is about, what are you chasing? You just met her.
Yeah.
Maybe she doesn't want to be with you. Go find someone who wants to be with you. Why are you chasing her? Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Yeah. But I will say the payoff is quite nice. And I think it's one of those things where it is a nice, fun ride to get there. So it's like worth the price of admission. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To get there.
Yeah. I feel like, what's that show called? High Fidelity? I think so.
What's that?
High Fidelity.
Is that about the record store?
Yes. I think that show.
The movie?
There's a movie and there's a show. The movie was good and the show was great.
The show.
But you're going to get it as a challenge at some point. But the show, I think, did a good job. And it felt similar to this in a way that the main character was like looking for love, dealing with, relationship stuff. But then whenever you spent time with the other characters, it was really enjoyable. And so I feel like that's the main thing that was missing from this show, is that whenever she is not involved in her relationship drama, the show becomes a lot less interesting because all the side characters aren't that interesting right now.
Yeah, I think there's sometimes a character who's just getting in their own way is a necessary trope to make your movie happen. But if that's the whole thing you're hinging your show on, then it gets tired very quickly.
Yeah.
Because it's like the thing that we like about a show like this is how normal it is, right? How normal it is to, like, when you're having sex with someone and then want to ask them, you want to have sex, and then they're like, where were they having sex? Oh, right. Like she's saying the things out loud that we're anxious about. That's why we like her. That's why we like what she's doing, and so that's why we like it, because it's so real. But the thing that's not real about it is someone would either not put themselves in this situation because it's awkward, or say something because this situation is too awkward.
Yeah, to give another
But to make a show, it needs to be awkward.
Yeah, to give another unnecessary analogy, because I'm sure everyone understands it at this point. It's like if your whole plate were mashed potatoes. You get tired of mashed potatoes pretty quickly. You wouldn't want the whole meal to be mashed potatoes. You need some meat on the plate. You need some vegetables on the plate to make a full experience.
Yeah, fully coolly. People ask me all the time if they want to have sex while they're having sex with me. Is that weird? Is that not? That's
Usually
normal.
at some point you have
Marcus, that's
consensual
normal, right?
conversations before you start having sex. But yeah.
What?
Interesting.
I have asked almost all the people I've ever kissed if I can kiss them. So I'm a big fan of
100%.
consent, and it has cost me some kisses. I'll tell you that.
Because you asked.
Some people just want to be kissed.
That is
really
true.
Just want to be kissed.
There are people out there that definitely.
But
just
those
wanna be
people
kissed.
aren't for me, and that's okay.
There we go.
Haven't had that happen to me in years. You're too much. Marcus, anything else you would like to talk about Starstruck?
No, nothing else.
Well, Marcus, I got some questions for you. Marcus, did you like the show Starstruck?
I think that I liked parts of it, but overall, I did not like it.
Well, Marcus, would you recommend Starstruck?
Tentatively, I think that if you are a rom-com person in the way that I am a horror person, I would 100% recommend this show.
Yeah.
I think
the reason it's so
B
digestible
rom-com
is easy, right?
Yeah.
It's a 20-minute show. It's 6 episodes. You're in, you're out, you had a good time. I think that's one of the most appealing things about it for me.
Yeah.
Like, I really think most shows are too long. I really think most TV shows are too long. Most movies are too long. Overstay their welcome. Don't know what they're doing. They're a little aimless. The show knows what it's doing.
Yes.
We wish it did more, but it knows what it's doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I appreciate.
100% agree. I feel like if you don't like rom-coms, this isn't going to change your mind.
No. Yes. Yes. That is a perfect way of saying it. There are some rom-coms that transcend to the point where it's like, other people should watch the show. What was that Cyrano rom-com we watched?
Yeah. It was the half.
What was that? That was fantastic
great
for anybody.
It was a great movie. Yeah.
Okay,
I feel like
Marcus,
the same way like people in horror community use the term elevated horror a lot of times for the new stuff. That's like, oh, this is elevated horror, which I hate, and people in the industry also hate.
Is that like Get Out?
Yes, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that you can say that about anything. You can say there's elevated rom-coms out there, that are like better and transcend the form and are just like a good movie that is a rom-com. And I feel like this isn't that. But
I feel before I ask you your last question, Marcus, I need to call Fully Cully out in the chat. You've been killing it all this time, but you just made a fatal flaw, and you're about to hear it from me. I'm about to rip into you. Fully Cully, you think a 6 to 10 episode, 30 to 1 hour long thing is perfect for you? A 30-minute show and a 1 hour long show are so different. You can't say you say you like TV shows that are 30 minutes long or to an hour long are all shows. Those are almost all shows except Starstruck and Sherlock. So you like all shows except British television. That sounds
right to me.
No, I would spray bottle.
That sounds
on
right
you.
to me.
No, that's not right. You got to pick one.
I agree.
You have to have a stance. Do I like short shows or do I like long shows?
If this show was 30 minutes every episode,
do you like sitcom?
They could have really used that extra 10 minutes to tell some more.
That's not what he was saying.
No, I agree.
Don't back him up.
I back him up.
When I call someone out, you need to back me up.
No, not more than 10 episodes. Okay.
Yeah, no, 10 episodes is good. Like Daredevil's 13, that was too many.
Yeah.
That happens all the time. Marcus, last question. And honestly, the most important one. Are you going to continue watching the show?
Yes, 100%. I will continue watching the show.
It's just so easy.
I liked it enough where I think that there is something there, and season 2 would be great. I think I feel like a lot of British shows are that way, where season 1, it feels like they're figuring it out, and then season 2, they really like get it together because they know what they're doing.
The Times described the show first series as expertly crafted, old school screwball comedy, crackling with wit and sexual chemistry. And I would agree with that. And then also, series 1 holds 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Series 1 does?
That's what it says on the Wikipedia.
100%?
Let me double check it. Yeah, 100% tomato meter season 1.
That's
from reviewers.
Crazy.
Audience score 85.
Okay.
Which sounds right.
85 is about.
This is the kind
right.
of show that movie and TV reviewers would love.
You think so?
Oh, yeah.
Hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I loved it.
Okay. Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. No, I'm going to continue watching for sure.
Marcus, there's one more thing I didn't mention to you that I meant to talk to you at the top that I didn't mention. You know, I'll wait till next time. Never mind.
Wait, what were we going to say?
No, I'll wait till next time.
Oh,
it's a whole tangent. I'll save the tangent for next time.
Okay. I'm excited, I guess.
And that tangent, oh, yeah. If you guys want to listen to what Nick's last tangent would have been, you got to make sure to tune in next week when we review our Patreon episode, The Dropout.
Nice.
That's right, The Dropout. Check out our socials. We'll tell you how many episodes we're watching. Probably 2 or 3, but it is the Amanda Seyfried, Elizabeth Holmes, Hulu original show, The Dropout.
Hell,
next week,
yeah.
Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at twitch.tv/Now Try This. And if you have an opinion about the show, you can get at us at Now Try This Cast on all socials. We'd also really appreciate if you left us a 5-star review on iTunes or on Spotify. Leaves 5 stars. Let us know what you think about the show, what we could change, what we could do differently. As long as you leave 5 stars, you can tell me whatever the fuck you want about my cursing and my shitty hosting skills. I don't care. As long as it's 5 stars. And patreon.com/Now Try This Cast so you can be involved to decide what we're doing next month.
Yes, 100%. Guys, oh, Nick, what was that British show on Amazon Prime? Oh, God. I can't remember it because we're doing a podcast in my mind. I have anxiety and my mind goes blank. It's Daron
Tell
and
me
I.
anything else about it.
Darren
Fleabag.
Fleabag. Thank
Fleabag.
you. Yes, Fleabag. Jesus Christ. It was Fleabag.
Old Man Rom Catastrophe.
That's a great
Nice
show.
try,
Catastrophe is
buddy.
great. But Fleabag.
We did that on the
I
show.
didn't like the first season, really. And the second season is like the best TV I've ever
Agreed.
seen in my life.
Yeah. Fleabag season 1 is like,
It's good.
okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's good. It's fine.
Fleabag season 2 is
It is the
amazing
best
piece of
season. It is
television.
one of the best seasons of TV I've ever seen in my life. And we will remain up there forever. Well,
Yeah, agreed.
and on that note, Nick, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you for joining us in the stream. We appreciate everybody who listens. Remember to go out there and try things. Good night.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Yell about it, it's podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
I don't think you heard me. Mandark's name is Susan Mandark Astronominov.
Oh, he's Russian?
Astronominov? I don't know.
Sounds Russian to me. Those goddamn Ruskies.
I mean, Dexter's Russian. I feel like he's American.
But Dexter is American.
Dexter's Russian.
You stupid DD. Nah.
Dexter's Russian.
What?
Isn't he?
Nah.
Dexter, Russian accent. Dexter speaks with a Russian accent, although the rest of his family doesn't. In Ego Trip, his younger adult self and his old man self didn't have Russian accents like he did. However, his adult self did. Dexter's Russian accent is a reference to the accent Jendy Tartakovsky used to speak with when he was a little kid.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he outgrew it.
That's interesting.
Why does Dexter have an accent? Let's look. He speaks with an accent because everyone speaks with an accent. Oh, you fucking, get out of here, John Cohen. You're a fucking dick. The guy who made it, I guess, Gender Tartakovsky, was a Russian immigrant to the U.S. and used to speak with it when he was a little kid. But then,
Oh, really?
outgrew it, I guess. Yeah. Huh. Is Dexter's laboratory sexist? The answer is yes. Oh, this person. Why does Dexter have a German accent? Actually, it's supposed to be a Russian accent,